everybody, my name is Solus Convoy, and today we're taking a look at APC's Mirror Evil Attack Prime. This is a knockoff of the first edition Voyager Optimus Prime mold from Transformers Prime in the Shattered Glass Deco. Here's a look at the box, some art, some same arts in line art form, etc. So this is on loan to me from Monochrome. Thank you for letting me take a look at this figure, and let's begin. So starting off, this is actually almost 15 years old for this mold now. I believe this mold originally came out in 2011, and it has held up pretty well. Let's take a close look in at that head sculpt. So as you guys can see, I mean, it's a pretty good likeness of the original Transformers Prime design. There's light piping right there. Let me see how well that works. I mean, it's pretty good, This purple plastic is pretty sensitive to light, so it'll show up differently depending on the light conditions. But yeah, the head sculpt looks pretty good. I think the silver paint for some reason isn't really hitting. It doesn't really have enough contrast against the gray plastic, but I kind of like it. You can kind of start to see some of these I would say paint details on the chest. I believe this is supposed to emulate the chest crack for Shattered Glass Optimus. I don't think this is done particularly well. It's all right. These green picked out details are pretty good. I do like how the gold turned out. The gold details on the figure are pretty good. There's some green details right there. The gold on the crotch though looks kind of strange. Those are decent enough gold details. Silver. So the paintwork isn't necessarily bad, but it's also nothing to write home about. I don't think it's below official quality, but there is some. I will say I do like how clean the lettering is on the back of the arms. So for the most part, the paint is pretty solid. Let's zoom back out. I'm taking a look at the whole figure. Proportionally, this guy is pretty much a classic. I mean, it is really crazy what they were able to accomplish with the Voyager class price point 15 years ago. And I really like the silhouette this figure strikes. Honestly, for some reason, I've always preferred this design as Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime, more than the actual show design. I like the proportions more, like the more visible kibble. I don't know, it just looks better to me than the show model, I think. It's more heroic, but it's definitely a very striking design. And honestly, the KO captures all of that. I don't see any major parts where it's lost detail or looks worse in any way, I guess. Let's get in on the articulation. So the head is on a ball joint. It can look up. Because of the way the ball joint is sculpted, there's basically no tilt. It does get you a full 360 around. It can't look down, but it definitely can look up. So there's that. A pretty good range up as well. The shoulders will get you a 360. This shoulder pad is going to hinge out to the side. Because of the bulkiness of the forearms, you really don't get the full 90. They're also on a curve though. There's like a natural curve shape to the forearms as well, so it's a little bit awkward, but it's not bad. There's a 360 at the bicep. You can kind of see the curve, right? Like you see like there's a, oopsies, that forearm fell off. You see there's a natural curve here, and then when you rotate the bicep, it becomes very apparent, right? So 360 there, 90 degrees there. The wrists are a bit strange. I don't know if this is a KO thing or if the original had the issue. Rotating this way is fine, but then there's like a stopper here. It gets stuck here. And if you try to rotate out this way, it gets stuck, and on the other hand, it'll actually just pop the wrist off the mushroom joint. So you do have a wrist swivel, but it's not, I don't know, it's not free, I guess. There's a waist swivel right here, but there is one problem. It's the joint for the waist swivel is set back here. It's for transformation purposes. So the waist joint is offset. This isn't a bad thing, but it is going to look really awkward once you use like the full 90 degrees. You can definitely hide it in most poses, and it's fine for like slight waist tilt. But when you use the whole thing, it breaks the sculpt pretty badly. Also, I didn't touch it on it, but I do really like how the backpack comes together. It's another thing I prefer with this toy over the show design. I think like the show design also has the smokestacks on its back, I think, but like the back is like so like devoid of any truck detail that it's like whatever. The thighs are, the smooth, silky, flat sculpt. They feel pretty good to the hand. You can kick up pretty much a little bit past 90 degrees actually. And then you can go out to the side, almost to 90 degrees, the sculpt stops it. You do have a 90-degree knee bend, and you also have a thigh swivel that is right above the knee. Sometimes, depending on whether or not you have the knee bend, it can get caught. Like if you have the knee, the thigh swivel like that, like I don't think it gets the full 90. It depends. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of sculpt clashing, but for the most part, it's almost perfectly fine. And then finally, for the time, what's great about this figure is that it has really good ankle articulation. There's a dedicated hinge ankle right there. And then you also have a toe tilt. And I mean, these are so many joints here to mess with. So the ankles are fantastic, to say the least, which is truly, truly awesome for the time, especially. That there's one problem though, sometimes these will untab. That might be a KO thing, but I've heard some people had that issue on the original. Like others I know who have the original say theirs is perfectly fine, but then I looked it up and there are some people whose original copies also do that, at least according to TFW. So just keep that in mind, I guess. But for the most part, it is pretty fine. And I guess since we're still in articulation, you could technically use this to fake a butterfly joint. It wouldn't look very good though, but just for the more creative among us. So yeah, articulation range is definitely decent for the time, and it holds up pretty well for today. In terms of accessories, I'll start with the best. So my favorite for this figure are definitely these ion cannons. The way I prefer to use them is you want to rotate his hands down so that you can slide them in from the bottom on 5mm pegs, and they match the sculpt of his forearm. I think that looks pretty cool. You know, they look integrated, and there's also like dry brushing on them, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, I always definitely like the integrated weapon style from Transformers Prime and the Bavers, so this is pretty cool to finally have a figure that does that. I've never owned this mold before, so it's really fun to take a look at. They work really well. He also has his swords, which I believe if you want to match the, I believe if you want to match the show configuration, the swords actually need to be like placed down like this, like above his hand. But the way the gap is sculpted, right, I don't like it like that, so I prefer to do them the same way I did the ion cannon. That might not be accurate to Transformers Prime, because the direction of the blade ends up being inaccurate to the show model, I think, because I'm pretty sure this part of the blade is like 90 degrees. It's on a different axis, but I don't really care. And a closer look on these, they're translucent plastic. They are like a harder plastic. They're not rubbery like the original first edition ones. And they have like this glitter fleck on the inside, which is kind of curious. I wasn't really expecting that. But you know, they slide in pretty painlessly on a 5mm peg, and they look pretty good. I like the ion cannons more though. Now we're gonna come to my least favorite accessory for this guy, which is, by the way, not even from the original toy. It's a copy of the Dr. Wu Star Saber. It's cast in that same like glittered plastic. Unfortunately, it did arrive kind of bent. You can see that it's pretty bent. It is hard plastic though, but I assume because of the type of hard plastic it is, just some treatment with a blow dryer will fix that. He can hold it, though there's a problem. Like, he can't hold it and properly hold the hilt because the sculpt of his hands, which are like this open hand sculpt, you can't do that. So you have to either choose to do it like this or to do it like that, and those both kind of suck, right? But the best way I've found is to actually do some cheating. So if you bring him over here, you can kind of slide it in at an angle thanks to the sculpt of his open hands. I'm not really sure if this is good for the longevity of his thumb, but it is kind of worth it because the sword looks terrible otherwise, and he can hold it properly now. It also comes with a little hilt piece, which you need to slide back on the bottom to complete the look. I keep forgetting if it has a specific way. There we go. And no, you cannot pop it out of his hand. You have to slide it. And that, in my opinion, looks good, and it can get you some natural sword tilt. So I'm pretty satisfied with that look. He also comes with a storage piece. This clips onto the sword, and it can tab in. There's a hole in the back here. I can't even show it, so I'm not even gonna. It's like, let me see if I can. Right there-ish. But let me see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, then the sword can. So you have to again untab the hilt piece, the pommel, and then come back here. You have your clip, and then this part's kind of sketch though. I don't really like squeezing in the translucent plastic. It's not my favorite, but there we go. You know, you can do that, and then you can like set it up whichever way you want. You know, make sure you don't lose the pommel. And there we go. Right, so we can store his, I don't know, dark star saber or corrupted star saber. Neutron saber. I don't know. I'm coming up with names for a shattered glass star saber. I also have no idea what you call it. He also comes with an unmasked head. I really don't like the Transformers Prime face style, so I will not be using this under any circumstances. But you know, it's there. It also has. Let me see if I can pull it off. It also has light piping. I really don't like that. I don't think it looks very good. This is an APC original face, I believe. Not a fan. But yeah, that's it for accessories. So now let's move on to some size comparisons. So I don't really have much to compare them to. I did have to sell off most of my collection. Just some stuff going on. But I still do have, you know, my only modern Transformer, which is a deluxe. I think I have Core Bombers as well still listed, but I don't have them on me at this very second. Also, just for the sake of it, here's a Lego minifigure. But the more pertinent size comparison will be to a ruler. So let's put that in there. And to the top of his smokestacks, he's about 6.5 inches tall. To the top of his head, he's about 6 1/4 of an inch tall. He's almost 7 inches tall to the top of his smokestacks, actually. 6 3/4. And then to the top of his head, you would say he's like maybe 6.5, 6 3/8 of an inch. So pretty sizable, nice Voyager. Definitely a recommend from me, size-wise. Let me get this guy transformed, and we'll take a look at his alternate mode. Here he is in his alternate mode. He actually compacts really well. I believe his alternate mode is only like 6 inches long, and it feels a lot skinnier and takes up a lot less volume than his robot mode does. The transformation is definitely one of the best ever. I see why this figure gets so much universal praise, this mold, and why it's so popular. The truck mode looks really good. It's pretty clean from all angles. There's minimal seam lines. It cleans up pretty well. Like even the back here, you know, even the bed is pretty respectable, right? Because it uses his kneecaps to form this like thing where the basically the shin guards fold up, and everything looks really good here. Like even the underside is pretty clean of robot detail. Just the thighs peeking through that break the immersion for like a second, but for the most part, pretty fantastic. Unfortunately, the grill is missing an Autobot logo since this is a KO, but you could probably put a sticker on there. There's also some translucent green plastic for the headlights, which is pretty cool. And the paint continues, right? This lightning symbol is pretty okay, and then the same I shall stand, the rest shall fall, comes through, painted silver rim. It's painted silver rims and then pinned wheels allow him to roll very well. You can store the ion cans on his back. There's a 5mm peg right there. Right, I'm sorry, 5mm port, and you can just store those back there if you so wish. But yeah, for the most part, he comes through really nicely, I would say. And the transformation is really fun. There's just like one step. I think it's mostly go back to robot mode, is untabbing the grill can be kind of unfortunate. And the grill is completely unpainted black plastic, but I do like the rivet details right there. So basically, final thoughts for this guy. I'm sure, like, you know, everyone's talked about this mold ad nauseum. After all, it's 15 years old. It's one of the most hyped up Voyagers, probably of all time. And I think it deserves it. The transformation is timeless. I'm not surprised that Studio Series 05, which is the first ever Studio Series Baby vs. Optimus, basically copied 90% of this figure's transformation, because it's a good one. You know, there's a lot of good in it here. It's really, really fun. It flows really well. It's super intuitive, and you get a pleasant experience in both modes. So if you've never handled this mold before and you're kind of on the fence about picking up an APC one, I would definitely, or even an original or whatever, if you could find a copy of the mold for cheap, like in general, I think it's a good idea because it's a really fun one. I mean, I do have my nitpicks. Like, I don't like the open hands particularly. I think fists just look better and they work better in more poses. For this particular release, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of like the flecked translucent plastic with like the glitter inside it. The bent Dr. Wu sword is unfortunate. The fact that he has to kind of force it to hold it properly is unfortunate. I'm not like completely huge on the sword storage mechanism, but these are all like minor nitpicks. Like, I don't like the unmasked head. These are all things I don't care about. Like, I can just leave the unmasked head in the box. It's just a bonus. So for the most part, I don't really have any like concrete issues. The paint is like okay, right? Like, there's some parts of it are really good, and then some parts of the detailing is like eh. But honestly, for a $40 KO when Voyagers are $42, it's not that bad. I would like this to be closer to 30 though. After all, there is no research and development cost associated with something like this. It's just a KO, and they've done a million repaints of this KO. So I don't really know if 40 is the best deal out there. That's how much Shozy has it for. Link in the description if you want one. If this goes on sale for like 30, that would be like a great pickup, I think. Or if they do other colors and they go on sale or they're around the same price. But if you like how this looks and you're curious about the mold, I would definitely say go for it. You can't go wrong. It's a really fun desk toy. And it looks really good in both modes as well, at least in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, for me, this is honestly recommend, but not just for this particular release, but I think the mold in general. But you don't need me to tell you that. Like, the whole fandom who's had this thing will probably tell you that. So thank you to Monochrome for letting me take a look at this figure. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who keeps tuning into my videos. Thank you so much. You know, I have a lot of fun doing this. I have a lot of fun messing with these figures. Pretty good time. All right, so Soulless Convoy, peace out.